And you're live on PM Express tonight. Tonight, a conversation that we've all been having since Saturday evening, or let's say Sunday dawn into today, really, because there's several developments have happened since that event at the VGMAs. It's music rivalry. Let's qualify that. Violent music rivalry, because you see music rivalry before, that wasn't an emerging threat. But we're asking that question today because of what has happened over the weekend. And it all started between these two gentlemen you see in the picture there, Shatawale and Stonebwoy. The recent clash we've seen that unfolded between the two of them. They call themselves dancehall reggae artists, and they've left fans really worried about what has happened over the weekend. Now, the two have in the last few hours been released on bail because they were arrested. Yesterday, they spent the night in police custody. Today, they've been interrogated. The police sent Stonebwoy in particular to retrieve that gun that we saw at the VGMAs. Now we understand that this has become a topical issue that everybody's talking about. They are to appear in court at a yet to be determined date. The police have told us in the statement that they're arraigning them before court. There's a third person, though, that we're also learning about in the police statement who was seen spraying some pepper spray in the crowd that the police say they've also holding and will be arraigning before court. Scores of their fans today, Stonebwoy fans and Shatawale fans, thronged the regional police headquarters. That is at the Accra Central to give them support. You see them in the background there, following the vehicles as they were ushered out of the place. Now, if you see the brawl in the background, and that's the gun there, if you can see it, it's one of those things that, in fact, the center of all the controversy. But they say this man, the background, Shatawale, caused it all by approaching him whilst he was receiving his award. We know that, and look at that, there was a brawl, people exchanging blows as we read, just when Stonebwoy, who was picking up the dancehall artist of the year, had made his way to receive his award, was just about speaking to accept it, and then we saw the brawl ensue because Shatawale had approached him. There have been several explanations from his father why this was the case. We'll try and look into that to see if really that was the case. Those who really know what happened on Saturday. Now, that obviously caused that commotion. Gun was pulled out. Eventually, it disrupted this whole event for understand close to 30 minutes. I honestly wasn't watching this. I woke up in the morning to hear about it, and so I'm going to speak to people. I'm sure many people are like yourself who just couldn't wake up, stand up, stay up to like 3 a.m. to watch this. Woke up in the morning to be fascinated by the events of the previous night. Now, Stonebwoy has since apologized to the public for his actions. We haven't had an apology yet from Shatawale. His father says they're still willing and will be apologizing shortly. So the key question is violent music rivalry an emerging threat? This is a conversation we are having now, but there's a fascinating aspect to this. Does this hurt the industry or does it build interest in it? Are these two individuals going to smile all the way to the bank on the back of this? Is the corporate world willing to punish them? I'm talking about those who sign deals with them, the Samsungs of this world. Are they willing to punish them, withdraw their rights that they signed them onto just because of this event? Until that happens, maybe we will see such behavior, dealt with properly in the music industry. We'll speak to those who understand the way industry works and see what can be done to deal with this in a more permanent manner. Stay with us here on PMS. When we return, my guests are seated and we'll delve into the details. Live on PM Express, I've just been having a pre-chat, and in itself it's a show on its own. And this is a conversation that I really would love to have, because if you are like me, who hasn't really followed this keenly, you'll be wondering, what's all this big deal about? I mean, what's the fuss all about? But apparently there's a big deal there. And so to help me dissect it all is Francis Doku, entertainment critic, who has been doing this job for a long, long time, and I'm grateful that he joins us. Hello, Francis. Thank you very much for joining me. Bessa Simons, and I grew up on his song, by the way. I never thought I would sit in the same studio with him, listening to him talk music. He's a vice president of music. Bessa, thank you very much. You used to do music?
Yes, I do.
Okay. When is the next hits coming?
Very soon, maybe before Christmas.
Okay.
But now there are so many things crossing.
Okay. So that's an interesting one. Let me start with you, Francis. You were there, right?
Yes, I was.
Okay. We've watched it on television, and I'm sure that's different from when you are in the auditorium. What did it feel like? What did you see?
Well, thank you so much. I feel that there was a big turnout for the 20th anniversary. There was a massive, turnout. We were in a new auditorium for the first time. It was just completed.
What's the capacity?
5,000. 5,000 capacity, and it was full. You could see that the entire room was full. Even when we were entering, it was a huge queue on both sides of the ticket, the Go ticket, Platinum ticket, side to enter. So it was a big atmosphere in that auditorium. So I mean, there was a bit of a chaos. There was a bit of a pandemonium, and you could feel it in that auditorium as it happened. So. Yes, the turnout made sure that you could,
feel everything. What really triggered this whole mess?
I think it's been said, over and again that when the announcement for the dance hall artist of the year was made. I mean, earlier there was the award for dance hall song of the year, and as you know, Shatta Wale's Gringo was adjudged by the...
That I watched, yes.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was strange too.
So there were other awards, and then the Dancehall Artists Award was going to be presented. And when it was mentioned, Stonebwoy was named as the one who's won it. So he came on the stage, also with his, squad. These young artists, when they're going to receive an award, they don't come alone or with a manager or a few people. They come with a whole entourage. It's one of the nightmares for the security, because the brief was that from the organizers was that when you're going on the stage, make sure that you don't overcrowd the stage. Maybe one person, two people, three maximum, follow the guy who's going to receive. But you realize that everybody is... So he came on the stage with a few people, but while he was on stage, received the award about to the camera, you saw, panned and picked Shatta, and then afterwards you saw him moving towards the stage.
Was he actually moving towards the stage?
Well, he was moving to the stage.
As in about to climb it?
The space from where he was sitting to the stage was a bit far.
Okay.
When he came, allocation had been made in the front for different classes of people. The board, the award presenters, the artists, the ministers, VIP, and all that in front. That was Platinum area. But he said that he wanted to sit with his fans. Look like a pistol.
So I'm told that initially Stonebwoy didn't just pull out the gun.
No, he didn't.
He didn't appear to have the gun at the time that...
Yeah, you couldn't
Shatta
see immediately that he had a gun, but it was while the melee was going on. He left where he was standing by the microphone near where Abeku Santana, who presented the award, was standing. He went this way. When he came back, he was holding a gun. So, some of the people tried to prevent him from doing whatever he intended to do with the gun. And, that was when the police and, the military, the security people came in and restored some semblance of peace. And then when Shatta went down, he left the auditorium with his people following him.
Shatta left the auditorium with his people?
He left the auditorium with his people. And so afterwards, there was a bit of, pandemonium. I think somebody sprayed some. That's what the police...
Yes. They've arrested one person who's also going to be arrested.
So people felt, that it was a bit of suffocation. Depends on where you see it. And there was a bit of pandemonium. But I think afterwards, that cooled down, settled down. And then Samini was called to perform, and that kind of gave a bit of quieting the space a bit. So I think that this was the progression of event from when Stone was on the stage to receive an award, from when Shatta and his team tried to move to the stage, and when Stone's people tried to prevent them, and then the security count things that after Stone had pulled a gun, you know.
Bessa, you've been in this industry for years. Have you seen anything like this before? In the Ghanaian industry, I'm not talking about globally.
Yeah. I mean, this is very new. You know, the early musicians, they also have something like this, but not to this extent. These days, you can see that most of the young musicians don't trust themselves. And that comes when you don't appreciate another man's music.
Okay.
We have to appreciate because everybody is different. The moment the competition gets to the hatred bit, then the mistrust comes in, and you don't know what your friend is going to do. And especially with this new hate culture where people will go out and say something bad about the other just to make them popular. That is not good. And this has been brewing in the pot for a long time. When I saw this happen, nobody knew what Shatta was going to do there. But because of mistrust, they don't trust each other because of things they've said to each other. So everybody will say anything can happen. So let me do A, B, C, D. You know, like, I mean, Francis was saying, maybe Shatta himself did not even know what he was going to do on the stage. You know, he just went on the stage, nobody knows what. And because this guy doesn't trust him, you know, all these skirmishes happened. But I think it's not a thing to be copied. This is a thing we have to put a stop to it, because it's not going to help us, especially when we have foreigners in the room. You know, it's not going to help us.
Are you sure it's not going to help you?
No.
You say you have foreigners in the room. The foreigners come from jurisdictions where this is the norm. People have died in these foreign countries you talk about, both in the UK and the US. There are countless examples of musicians, because of feud or suspected feud reasons, have been killed. And so this is, we are importing it from them. So why should we be worried about?
No, we should be worried.
Why this reflects on us when they're in the room?
We should be worried because this is not our culture. I mean, we are a very peaceful country, and I'm sure people who come to such shows even don't come with bodyguards, because they know such a thing will not happen in Ghana. So when it happens, especially when you have embassies and things there, they see you doing all these things. And, you know, whatever happens, you might go to them for a visa, and that can affect you. And it can affect another person, and it can affect the innocent musician as well. And that is why I think it shouldn't be, you know, repeated. Nobody should learn this.
Francis, what is the genesis of this? And for those of us who are non-experts at this, we don't know the background to this. There must be a background to this, what we saw on Saturday night into Sunday morning. What is it? Where's this coming from?
There must be a few of those, but I think we could lay it down to the fact that, you know, Stonebwoy is a product of the high-grade family. The high-grade family is a Samini's, you know, stable. And Stonebwoy grew out of that. He was part of Samini's, you know, team, and then he grew out of that. And we know the kind of beef that Shatta, since he came back from being what do you call it, bandana, from when he came back and rebranded as Shatta Wale, the kind of beef that he has had with Samini. So that kind of spills down to Stone. You know, Stone also sees Samini as his boss, his master, and so if you have beef with him, yes, he does. Okay. He still does. Because I remember recently when we launched Afrima, and I introduced him as former Samini as his former master. I said, no, still my master. You know, so he still respects him in that manner. So I think the beef also started from there. You recall when in I think 2013 or 2014 when Shatta, you know, took Kaki to the cleaners after she won, I think, the dancehall song of the year.
Because Kaki also
belongs to high grade, you know, and all that. And there's been all those stuff. Now, I think at some point Shatta turned his attention to Stone directly, because Stonebwoy had become very prominent. You know, he's grown, he's become prominent. I mean, over the last 5 years, he's won the Dancehall Artist of the Year, the VGMA, 5 times. And you saw on the camera that he did that. I think one of the things that,
really angers Stonebwoy, yeah.
You know, so it's being that. It's about one person seeing himself as greater, because Shatta Wale calls himself African Dancehall King. He called himself Dancehall King, and then he called himself African Dancehall King. But Stone also sees himself as, you know, a better musician when it comes to dancehall than Shatta. And he's also gone to places. He prides himself as having gone to Jamaica to have collaborations with some of the big names, Morgan
Sean Paul,
Bricks
and the Beanie Man. That song is good though.
Absolutely. And so he doesn't think that you can call yourself a better dancehall person than he is. So that kind of, you know, rivalry. So starting from the High Grade family to when they both, you know, saw themselves as direct competitors, you know, and all that. And that also kind of fits into what the fans, you know, do. They have different camps. Stonebwoy has his Beam Nation. Shatta Wale has his SM for life, or Shatta Movement for life. You know, and both parties see, you know, their hero as the one who's better. And so, as they beef and talk against each other and talk about things. I mean, one of the things that Stonebwoy has very strong against Shatta Wale is that he says that Shatta blamed him for the death of his mother. You know,
Shatta blames
Stonebwoy
for the death of whose mother? Shatta's mother.
Stonebwoy's
mother. Oh, I see.
And he feels that is not right. You know, he couldn't say that about my mother.
That's very personal.
Yeah, so he takes that very personal, and that has informed, you know, out of all the things that I've mentioned, that is one of the key things that he thinks that it is never going to bring them together. You know, so these things have been going on. The fans have been talking to each other, against each other, shouting at each other when they meet at events. There's that, you know, possible, you know, things happening. If you recall last year when Shatta launched his Rain album, Stonebwoy tried to, you know, be there in his own way to support, but I mean, they didn't allow him onto the stage or even into the auditorium, and he felt, well, I mean, I came to support. So one of the arguments they're making is that if you didn't allow me to perform at your event,
what are you doing at the moment
to say
of
that
glory?
You're coming to congratulate me? Because that was some of the explanation that Shatta gave, or his people gave, that he was only going to congratulate him for winning the Dancehall Artist of the Year. So they're saying, if that were to be true, I mean, you didn't allow me into your space, why that? So, I mean, these things have been happening, and this is and leading also to the VGMA. There have been a lot of conversation about who was going to win. I mean, we saw Shatta rally his fans to vote for him.
Also because this is the first time in a long time that Shatta was given a look in by the organizers of the event.
Actually, no. I mean, last year he was nominated. He was? Last year. Yeah, he was nominated last year. It was the year before and the one before that he wasn't. You know, but last year he came on, but he didn't put in as much effort to win as this year. He really went out on a gang hole. You know, for whatever reason it was, he wanted some of that was very badly. He made a poster of the nominations he had and shared them on social media and asked his fans to vote. It was when he got into that, the others also got in and asking their fans to vote. Stonebwoy, for example, held what he called voting parties, you know, where several of his fans came together and they claimed that they donated amount to vote, you know, and all that. So it was, you know, getting to that. And that one category that both really want than any other is the Dancehall Artist of the Year. Because that's their claim to fame. That's the bragging right. So if I win it, then I am the king. The king. If you win, then you are. And since Stonebwoy have won it 5 times, well, maybe Shatta thought it was his time to win also.
But Bessa, seriously, look, isn't this good for the industry?
No, it's not good for the industry.
No, there's a strong argument that this is good for the industry. And this is the argument. That listen, look at me. I'm talking about this on my show. This show is this is
political.
Yeah, this is the first time. Look, and all the big shows tonight are having this conversation.
News item number 1.
Yes, I did it on Top. I have never done entertainment on Top Story.
I mean,
I'm talking to other politicians. I'm talking to all these complex matters. We're having this conversation. This is good for Musica.
It's not good.
It raised the profile of the industry.
You see, it is trending. Because nobody wants to see this happen again. That is why it is trending. I mean, no musician has pulled a gun on the stage in Ghana before, not that I know of. It is new, it is fresh, people are amazed. People don't know what to make of it.
Oh, VIP pulled the gun at one of Night with the Stars.
Night with the Stars.
VIP.
I remember Night with the Stars.
I see.
Well,
VIP versus this was the Accra
versus Tema
rivalry.
Yeah.
Not Shatawale. Sakode actually pulled out.
Yeah.
Because of the fear that he had for not fear, but they had been threatened, broken glasses, etc.
But was there a gun pulled out?
Yeah, there were backstage.
There were. It was terrible.
Backstage,
Backstage, it didn't play out.
So this is different. This one is in camera. Everybody, you can see it. People have pictures of it. They're sending it all on WhatsApp. But my point is, people will talk about it, but that does not make it good for the industry.
Why?
Because, I mean, if it was a good thing, you know, and people are talking about it. So, I mean, are you telling me you want people to copy this to make the industry vibrant?
My point is, everywhere in the world, entertainment industry thrives on scandals. Thrives on scandals. In fact, most of the big names in the industry anywhere in the world have scandals in their history. And you realize, after the scandal, your ability to come back, they come back even bigger and better. If there's nobody's talking about you, people actually who is the guy who did recently this very famous series, musical series? The guy who framed his own assault and was Smalling or something he's called. The guy who is in Empire.
Empire.
Framed his own assault in the USA so that he will be famous.
No, but this is only in the USA.
It happens everywhere.
No, we are talking about it. But if you go out there, people are saying negative things.
Are you sure?
I am positive.
These same people.
I am positive. And
these same people will be buying. The next time you put any of these acts on stage, it will be even more massive.
Well, I mean,
You disagree?
I disagree, and that does not make this bad incident helping our industry to grow. We want our industry to grow on a different level where people like our music. People like.
But people like their music,
and this will not bring any future to the business.
You sure?
Yeah. Would you like your son to go and do music?
Absolutely not.
Thank you. So we shouldn't be encouraging it in any way whatsoever. This should not happen again. I mean, some people have traveled all over the world.
Yeah.
They've done music. They say, look at me, I'm still doing music.
Okay.
Even if I become the musical president, I will still do music. You come and see me playing music somewhere, playing my keyboard, singing my belembe, you know. And I will do this till I die. And I will not pull gun on anybody because we are role models, and everybody is watching us. So if we go out putting on this act, then parents will stop their. It takes just one pull at the trigger, and anything can happen. And this would have been a big disaster.
It's an interesting take on this, but Francis, I put it to you.
Yeah.
He's talking about the moral side of the business. Yeah. But if you look at it purely as a business, bad news is good news for entertainment. True?
Well, no news is bad news, they say.
Absolutely.
But I think that I'll differ a bit to say that this incident, bad as it is, has brought a bit of, or even not a bit, a lot of attention to
which is eventually industry. Positive. The net effect is very negative. I think how it's positive.
Yeah, how it is handled will determine whether it becomes.
The guys have apologized.
Because the point is that, the industry has continuously been knocking on the doors of the corporate and government, for support, continuously knocking. There's no real focus on the industry, as it were. Government, for example, will come to AMWEF's dinner and do some presentation, donation, but not get too much involved in the things that happen. And I believe that some of these things will now, bring the attention. I mean, the ministry has issued a statement. The Minister of Information has spoken about it at a press conference. I think it looks like there will be a bit of sitting around a table to discuss how to properly manage
most important group of people you haven't mentioned in the list, businesses.
That's what I'm saying.
Haven't pulled out yet.
Corporate hasn't pulled out.
Corporate hasn't said one negative. Yeah. In fact, Vodafone I said we will continue to support.
Yeah, Vodafone says that we believe in the arts and will continue to support the arts.
So where's the harm?
So the point I'm making is that I think that I'm different a bit with the point saying that it is a negative thing. But sometimes the negative things help to bring some positivity to it.
Absolutely.
It is how we manage this and make sure that, okay, the guns are not pulled at a stage of this sort again, but that how do we sit and have a conversation with government, for example, with corporate Ghana, for example, and say that, look, these young people command a lot of following.
Yeah.
And you cannot continue to ignore
them. Yeah.
You cannot continue to ignore
I think that's the biggest statement from this. You can't ignore.
Yeah, you can't ignore
the industry anymore.
You cannot ignore the industry because I was telling you earlier that at the nominee, sorry, the party at the Independence Square, thousands of people gathered, and many of them were followers of Shatta. The nominees jam in Kumasi, thousands. I mean, the organizers almost didn't let it go. They almost canceled it because of the number of people, the pressure and all that. These are young people. Brands want to engage young people. Government wants to see how to get young people going and all that. So can we, based on these things, have some conversation and see how, you know, we can all help to make sure that we manage the situation, but we cannot continue to ignore.
But so you don't see any opportunity at all in this?
Well, I mean,
for music, for example. Because I see a lot of opportunity in this.
But the good thing is the Minister for Tourism. Has said that she is going to bring all the stakeholders together to sit around the table and then discuss this and see how best, you know, they can manage this. And I think when we sit down, you know, we can get some of what Francis is saying to come, because I mean, the industry has been knocking at the doors for a long time, but I don't think it should take this, you know, for
that.
Well, it has taken it.
It has taken it. I mean,
unfortunately,
we're all sitting up and paying attention to you now. People argue that, what's the mistake in that? Do we have an industry? People ask that question.
Yeah, that
but
question
we do clearly have an industry, because of the crowds that these people are pulling. Any politician observing this.
But do you agree that it's an unfortunate?
It is unfortunate.
Of course, the incident itself to pull a gun, of course, is unfortunate. Okay. I mean, but isn't that what life is about? That sometimes the negative, everybody has their bad side and a good side. You have to take all together, and that's what makes a good person. A complete individual will have negatives. All the fantastic people in the world, Tiger Woods, he's being celebrated, but we all know what he went through. But it's that background that makes Tiger Woods Tiger Woods. You can Shatta Wale is Shatta Wale today because of all the nasty things he's done. Today I was listening to the report that one of my colleagues did, calling a Yodid names. And that's what brought him into like when he started rebranding.
Yeah, when he rebranded from
he's why he is today, because of his bad boy nature. It's part of the
brand.
The brand.
But I'm just saying it shouldn't get to this. And next time it should be something a bit more positive that will bring us around the table. It's very important.
You know, in England, at some point, the stadia for football was built in a certain way that encouraged riots.
Yeah.
You know, and there was one big riot that a lot of people died. It was based on that they decided to give guys as to how to build a stadium so that, you know, those things wouldn't happen. And from then, you know, there has not been such, you know, incidents. I think that sometimes you don't want negative things to happen, but when they do, they become, you know, the things that guide how you want to do things going forward. I think this is the height of, you know, everything. Pulling a gun on stage is the height of everything that has happened.
It could have gone horribly wrong.
It could have gone horribly wrong.
Know.
And we need, based on this, to now look at how to. I'm sure at the next VGMA, the organizer, Shatta House would do better in terms of the security. I mean, for example, make sure that every person that passes through the door into any auditorium is scanned, and to make sure that you're not carrying any arm or any offensive weapon that will hurt people. I think that would help, and may not necessarily be limited only to the VGMA, but all other events. So this was bad, but the lessons from that would make sure that we do things better, I believe, so that we don't. you don't, for example, allow somebody to walk all the way from the back to get to the front before you try to stop them. Why not stop them in the middle? So some of these things would ensure that the breaches that we experience will not happen.
But I'm curious to know, what's the difference between your generation of musicians and this generation? What is it? Because when I was growing up, I was taught music is a form of a language that has a message. That's what I remember music for. Now I'm not sure what is it anymore. Because it was music in the past because it had a message. It must have a message. It must have a moral that teaches you something, that you learn something from. That's what your music did, right? What's the difference that you've noticed between that past and now, and what can we borrow? I'm not saying necessarily that we should eulogize the past and forget about the future, because the future, we condemn the future. But maybe there's some things there that we could learn and make the present better.
I think what's happening is the appreciation level is very low.
When you say appreciation, define
it's how you appreciate and respect other music, other genres. You know, the moment you start thinking yours is the best, then you know you don't respect anybody's music.
No, but to be a successful person, you need to necessarily believe that yours is the best.
Yeah, yours is the best, but another person's is the best, because in our world we have different best musics.
Okay.
You know, and everyone's is the best. You can't just go in and say this one is the best, so I'm going to copy him. No, you should do something different. But what I'm trying to say is, it's the same thing. All music have morals. Maybe now different morals. You know, people go out there, they want to use few words, fewer instrumentation, and make their music. But in my days, I mean, people, you see this one is good, you try to do something better than him. You know, instead of maybe, and we didn't go on radio to condemn somebody, you know, talk bad about somebody's mother. No, we didn't do that. And that, you know, creates some kind of hatred. And it doesn't bring that longevity in this business. You know, it will get to a time that culture, that fashion, you know, might go down, and then what do you do?
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this a natural evolution we couldn't do anything about, that we'll get here because music evolves?
Music evolves, but I don't think that all music necessarily, you know, is to teach some moral. You know, I think some of them are just to listen to, some just for entertainment. For example, if I'm listening to jazz, what sort of moral
is
moral
there? Okay.
am I learning from
because
that?
you don't understand. You don't know scales.
No, I mean, for example, if I'm listening to
so you won't understand.
No, I'm saying that it is for me as not a technical person to enjoy it, not to take any moral
It's purely
from
for the entertainment.
For entertainment, sometimes. There are some music also that you learn from. Me, for example, all the songs that, for me, the greatest composer of all time, Nana Kwame Ampedu, you know, wrote, most of them are to teach you something. Their stories, their anecdotes.
Isn't that where we draw the definition of music from a
No, I mean, that's one definition. I don't think it's the ultimate definition for all, because there are some music that you listen just for the pure entertainment. For example, a song like Akoti Brofo. It's good music, a good feel about it. You want to dance to it, and it changed the face of music for us at certain
Best I smiling.
Yeah, he wants to teach some moral lessons. But I'm saying that there are some music that is purely, and I think we can agree to that, that some music that are purely for the entertainment value. You go to the club, you don't go and learn moral in a club. You go to dance to music from Tupac, Shakur, you know, and all that. You know, so there are some music that is for entertainment, there's some music that you learn morals from. But I think that the difference for me is that in the days gone by, people learn the art more and mature before they go out to perform, or they go out to make music. Most of the people who became musicians went through the band. They had to learn one or two instruments, and then when they hit the stage, you know, you realize that they become mature and all that. Now somebody just go into the studio, he says that he heard a beat, he wants you to make similar beat for him, and then he sings on it, and he's a musician. So the grounds have changed a bit. Whether it is for the good or for the bad, I think that's a question or a discussion that we can have. But I think that in the past, people matured through the art before they became what.
But there's something you want to add to this before we take a quick break?
The thing is, you know, there are so many different kinds of music. And I mean, people like Francis, they only stick to one kind of music to make them. But if you study music like me, and when after studying music, you do all the genres he said, the meaning is different because everybody must excel. Jazz must excel. High life must excel. Every genre, you see, and so it's, somebody loves hip life, somebody loves hip hop, and somebody loves high life. And they must all excel. And they are all music. So if you say you want to be with only the group that just listen to music, you know, for listening to music's sake, and that only should excel, that will not happen, because I am for all genres and I want all of them, because there's market for all of them, and they should all earn a living from their music. And this is what I am looking at.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll take a break. When we return, we'll look at some of the specifics, and that came also from Shatawale and Stonebwoy's feud. The biggest controversy that, apart from the gun incident, was the question about the award Shatawale won for the Highlife Music of the Year, was it? With the song My Level. That has sparked some interesting controversy, and Professor John Collins has been speaking about it. And when I say Professor John Collins, both of them know who I'm talking about. And I'll introduce what he says about this very shortly. Very interesting thoughts he has on this. But also we'll talk about the security arrangements. And Francis talks about this. For an event like that with 5,000 people, how was it possible that a man could take a gun into the auditorium? Could you imagine who else had an offensive weapon among the crowd? This could have gone horribly wrong. What lessons are we drawing from this? And then the industry itself. How is the industry trying to? Best of talk about, we need to curb this. How do we do it? If we agree it's bad for the business, it's bad for business of entertainment. Stay with us. Live on PM Express here on the JoyNews channel. A very interesting conversation we're having about the entertainment industry on the back of what has happened over the weekend at the VGMAs. There's a lot to dissect. The two gentlemen have been granted bail. And the police have said in a statement that they will be arraigning them before court. But the question remains, what lessons are we learning from this? If it's not good for the entertainment industry, how do we fix it? Because for those of us who love hip life, I remember the days of Exdo and Chicago. It was very intense, but it never got. You remember those days, right?
Yes, I do.
Very intense. It never got to the point where they.
It was lyrical beef,
yeah,
you know, and
yeah.
This one throws this and this
you
one.
know,
like Sarkodie and Manifest.
And Manifest, you know. But it was beautiful because they fought with how they know best, not their face or guns, but lyrics. And Sarkodie releases, Manifest releases, and it was clear who was the best when it came to that space. I'm sure. I love both of them equally. But that feud, that is when Manifest first introduced the thing, God MC. He did this thing, and you know, and for me it was hands down. But don't take my word for it. But that was the beauty of the rivalry. And it helped the industry. There was a lot of excitement then. I remember the first time I was Googling, will Sarkodie respond, Manifest it? But then it degenerates to this. Isn't that the natural consequence that if you were excited about that beef, and I'm told that back in the day, Lumba and Nana Champon had a beef like that too. Yeah. But it urged them to be better at music.
Yeah.
Right? But then it's evolved to something like this. Isn't a consequence of that. We enjoyed it. We everybody took sides. Camps were evolved around these people. And now we're seeing it reflect in this form. I guess we should pay a price for enjoying something in the past that now becomes a bit out of hand.
I think it shouldn't get out of hand.
Did you have any beef with anybody?
Me?
Yes.
No, I don't have any beef with them.
Oh, not in the time that you did music?
No, I flow with everybody.
Oh, I see.
I flow with everybody because I believe that I cannot do what anybody does. I can only do what I do.
You do.
So I respect what you do, and I want you to respect what I do.
Okay. You didn't do it for business purposes. Okay, you go on.
No, but there's been rivalry all along.
Yeah.
You know, even I remember CK Man and Nana Pedu style. You know, they all played guitar, they all sang. They said this is better than this, you know. So they put them together to play two bands, you know. We had that. And Alex Kunedu came in as 1 man 1,000, and there's been a lot of this. But it was exciting, like you said. It was all through their music. This one's music is better. You know, that's what happened. It never got to "I will kill you."
In my time, I think that we can talk about Lord Kenya and Obrafo,
Yes.
you know, who threw, you know, words at each other. You mentioned Exto and Chicago, you know. We can also come around Sarkodie and Manifest, you know, and all that. We've even had Samini and Shatawale for a long time, you know. But I think, again,
what has changed now?
We need to understand that there are two things involved here, in my view. The personalities and then the genre of music that we talk about. I mean, these young men learn from different places. Unfortunately, no, not unfortunately. Fortunately, the internet has closed a lot of things, have brought things closer to us. Things that used to be far and distant, we can now, you know, see it. You can see, for example, things that happen in Jamaica with, you know, that sort of genre of music and the people involved in it. We were very close to the action when Tupac and Biggie, you know, and all that were doing stuff. So some of these things are picked from other places.
Buju Banton went to jail recently, was released.
Yeah, he was released, but Buju went to jail for a different reason, accused of drugs, you know, and all that.
But that is, I guess, the persona that the people see that you must be. We had Shabba Ranks, you know, hard
and
character.
They had their own beef, and all that, and these things are seen. But the point is that the characters involved, you know, would be different. For example, Sarkodie's demeanor or reaction to somebody throwing beef at him, maybe just to also do a song,
go to a studio and
you know, and do that. It will not be to rally.
And Sarkodie had a beef with Shatta as well.
Yeah, he did.
Had a beef. He did a fantastic song to advise him.
Absolutely.
Shatta responded, but it didn't get to this. I want to bring in, I guess, one of the most controversial points also from Saturday's event, which is the Shatta won an award for best Highlife song. Is that what the category was? Highlife song of the with I Know My Level, and I don't need to play that song for you because everybody knows that one of the popular songs of the last year. But there's a view that can be Highlife. I want you to listen to Professor John Collins. So Ghana's one of the most foremost brains on indigenous Ghanaian music. Listen to what he said on this.
Which is the Highlife rhythm?
Yeah, he's using a Highlife rhythm. Yeah. Most certainly this isn't typical dancehall music. He's Africanized. It's a much more African variety of music than I remember him playing when he was younger. You see, really, you're asking me to disentangle a creative work by a young musician who's actually drawing on different sources. He's definitely drawn on Highlife music, but the guitar playing style, it's a very high-pitched solo style that if you listen you will hear it, is actually really drawn from the Suku style, but it could also be the Suku style as played in Ghana. You see what I'm trying to get?
Yes.
How difficult it is.
Yeah.
And also he's singing in Pidgin English, which is a Ghanaian language, and some Ga, I believe. So I would actually give him if he wants to claim it as Highlife, if he's happy to do that, I'm even happy that he's moved from dancehall to, let's call it, Highlife dancehall or Afro dancehall. He's moved the dancehall away from the Jamaican template to an African template. Whether I would actually call it Highlife is slight. But I would call it Afro dancehall. I mean, I don't want to call
Afro
it
dancehall.
Yes, rather. But there's a Highlife ingredient into it because he's a Ghanaian, so he's drawing in all the different things: the West Indian, the Highlife, and the Suku's touch, the Congolese way of playing the guitar, that has been popular in Ghana since the 1960s.
What's your comment on this?
No, my comment on this is this. I mean, both Bessa and I are on the board of the VGMA. And, you know, in that room, things are discussed. And we look at things on the basis of rhythm. Music is the basis of rhythm. And thankfully, we have Bessa, we have Amanziba, we have Diana Hobson. We have people who understand this, Marco Kreku and all that. And so we listen to all the songs and determine that, okay, based on the rhythm that forms this particular music, we think that it belongs to this genre.
Was there an agreement that this was Highlife?
Absolutely. That's why it was nominated.
Okay, but Professor John Collins agrees with you.
He agrees to the extent that he borrowed heavily from Highlife. Like, let's face it, when the nominations came out, Shatta Wale didn't complain. He was nominated in that category for Highlife. He didn't complain. He went on to urge his fans to vote for him to win. And he's won it. And thankfully, Prof. John Collins, who is respected in this field, says that, look, he borrowed from Highlife, and it is. Yeah. I don't think there's any argument anymore.
Better.
This is very interesting. I love what Prof says. You see, when it comes to Highlife, we have Highlife around the West Coast. Nigerians have their own Highlife, borrowed from Ghana, Cameroon, Sierra Leone, and Liberia, and then the Zions themselves. But the beauty of it all is that when it comes to Ghana, we sing our Highlife different. And that's what Shatta did. We play our guitars different. And that's what Prof said. If we play Ghanaian guitar, it's so beautiful. People who don't come from Ghana enjoy it so much. When we hear Nigerians play their, or Sierra Leone play their Highlife guitar, we enjoy it. It's different from us. But with this song, there is a lot of Highlife elements in it. And nobody from anywhere can sing like the way Shatta sang. He sang like a Ghanaian singing Highlife with different elements. The beat was Highlife. And when it gets to the chorus, I was at a party this weekend. And the old ladies, about 70, 90 age, they all, when it gets to the chorus, they all get up and sing, I know my level, I know my level. And you cannot, can you see any white man singing, I know my level this way? They will sing it different. They will prophesize it in something. Only a Ghanaian can do this. So for me, it's a, and I remember when Ekwoti Brofu came. Yeah.
People are
yes. Highlife, people were saying this is not Highlife using synthesizers, you know.
But that's Highlife.
That's Highlife, exactly. Wow. And in the end, some people said that's Highlife, and everybody loved it.
Just a small point also that at some point, even the Ghana Music Award Board considered what they call a category called a contemporary Highlife. You know, kind of different. And then there was also Highlife, kind of different. There's kind of music that the likes of Florian Ponsa, you know, Baroski, you know, and Co were doing.
Now Kwame Eugene,
you know, were considered as contemporary. But at some point, the board again said, look, it's Highlife, whether it's contemporary or not. It's Highlife.
Fundamental point
together.
And I think John Collins makes it very. He says that there's a common denominator, which is the rhythm.
The rhythm.
And that once you find the Highlife rhythm, you can say he said he said he doesn't want to take away from a young man.
Absolutely.
Although he gives it a certain different name of combinations of I think Afro.
The young man claims it to be Highlife.
But he spots the Highlife better.
Yeah. I think you see we have so many different kinds of Highlives. We have the Odon song, the Dagomba, the Amponsan, and whatnot. Palm wine, you know, and
so which one is this?
If you listen to Kudwentry's song, sometimes it's Odon song, but he's played in a reggae way.
In fact, John Collins is one of the same interview mentioned Kudwentry.
Yeah.
That he thinks the song is just like the Kudwentry type of Highlife.
But I was going to say, if I have my way, what I'm going to go for and brand our music with is Highlife, because the moment you leave our borders and you say you're a Ghanaian, they talk about Highlife. Yeah. So like Prof said, I think we should, if it's a dance hall, it should be Highlife dance hall. So once we say Highlife dance hall, we know where it's coming from. Whatever it is, Highlife reggae, and we know where it's coming from. Only Ghana can produce that. If you go to Nigeria, I think they have a special brand for their music now, which is, I think, is an Afrobeat also. Afrobeat. And it's working.
And also to add that the young people now, they're not typified by genre. Like, okay, to say that
you can't box them.
You can't box them. They are trying all new things, different things. Look at a young man like Kwesi Arthur, for example. Today he's singing, tomorrow he's rapping. It's difficult to say that he's box him into it. So, and even that also is what the Nigerian guys are. If you look at Wizkid and Davido and all that, they're trying different things. And so it's difficult to say that this is
one particular genre.
Yeah. But they borrow her because they're Ghanaians, they do it in a manner that's, you know, look like a Ghanaian doing.
A very final point before we end, which is the security bit, because these events won't stop. It is a lifeblood of music and entertainment. And then if you're a musician, so how do we make this safe? Because I'm curious how the man, whoever carried the gun and gave it to Stonebwoy, carried the money to sneak it into the auditorium. You're on the board. You must be concerned about this because this is a huge security breach.
It is, really. It is. It's a breach. And I think that you cannot hold brief for this. I think it's important that the board, together with Charterhouse organizers look at, review the processes of security and look at where the gaps is and let, I mean, a lot was done to ensure that security, the police, the military, private security were in.
Were all there?
Yeah, they were all there. There were a huge number of military people there. But it slipped through. So there's a need to really look the security especially because people pay to come and enjoy themselves and they need to be assured that there's safety at these places. If we can't do that, then we'll prevent people from enjoying these things. So I think that we need to sit down and look at all this and look
what's Musica's own take on this? Because this is a bigger threat. Because once there's a fear in people's heads, they will abandon shows.
Well, I mean, as Musica, we've been working with Charterhouse on VGMA for a long time. I think maybe from the beginning. And whatever they are in, we are in with them. And like Francis said, I think we're going to go back to the table, look at it, review everything, see what we can do next time to avoid, certain hiccups, and then move forward. I mean, this is the biggest award scheme we have in Ghana. Yeah. And so far as I'm concerned, they've worked so hard. Yeah. Since last year, they've worked, towards this and to the climate. People haven't slept for a month to have get this, to get it right. So I think whatever it is, people shouldn't be afraid. It's just going to get better. And all loopholes, I'm sure, are going to be
Mr. Simon, thank you very much. I hope I could end on a note of one of his fantastic songs that he's done over the years. So for those who wonder who Mr. Simon is, if you haven't lived in Ghana before, he's a man of many talents as far as music is concerned. And Francis, I'm grateful that you joined us as well on this. We'll wait to see what the police do on this matter because they've said they're going to arraign the gentleman before court. And so when that comes out, a lot more, I guess, will be said in the court of competent jurisdiction. My name is Evan Spencer. Enjoy the rest of the evening.